All right, I'm going to make a video for the more ionic and covalent bonding quiz practice page. I know not everybody picked this up in class today, but even if you didn't get it, you can watch the video, you can pause the video, and you can do the work on a separate sheet of paper if you want to, but hopefully it'll still be useful to you. So the first questions are asking us when ionic and covalent bonds happen. And you can have these notes written down on your periodic table. You'll see that I have down here in the bottom right corner of my periodic table, I have notes reminding me that ionic bonding happens when a metal and a nonmetal bond together, and covalent bonding happens when two nonmetals bond together. So I'm just going to put those in here for my answers. So an ionic bond is when a metal and nonmetal bond, and a covalent bond is when nonmetal and nonmetal bond. Okay, the next questions are asking me, given these elements, which ones would form an ionic bond? And I'm going to just double check each pair on my periodic table here. So hydrogen and helium are both nonmetals. Carbon is a nonmetal. Phosphorus is a nonmetal. Sodium is a metal. Iodine is a nonmetal. Potassium is a metal. And fluorine is a nonmetal. So we just said that an ionic bond is formed between a metal and a nonmetal. So I need my combinations where I have a nonmetal and a nonmetal. That tells me that my answers are going to be C and D for number 3. Number 4, hydrogen is a nonmetal. Oops. And technically, helium is a nonmetal, but helium is in group 8 and doesn't want to bond with anybody. Remember, it's a noble gas, so I don't think that that's going to be our answer. Carbon is a nonmetal. Phosphorus is a nonmetal. Hydrogen is a nonmetal. Oxygen is a nonmetal. And sodium is a metal. And neon, again, is a noble gas. It's a nonmetal, but it's a noble gas. It doesn't bond with anybody. So looking at my choices, it can't be A or D, and covalent bonds are nonmetal to nonmetal, and that is what I have for B and C. All right, when I want to name my compounds down here in this next section, I don't know about you, I can't do that without figuring out if it's an ionic or a covalent bond first. So if I look at my elements that I have here, my compounds that I have here, Na3N, sodium is a metal. Let's do the highlighter one. There we go. Sodium is a metal. Nitrogen is a nonmetal. And metal and nonmetal tells me that I'm going to do an ionic bond. And ionic bonds, I just name my elements and I change the second word to I, to end in "ide." So Na is sodium. N is nitrogen, so that's going to be nitride. My next one, I have carbon is a nonmetal. And chlorine is a nonmetal. Two nonmetals bonding together is going to be a covalent bonding. Covalent bonds, I need to use my prefixes. So my carbon doesn't have a subscript, so there's just one. So for my first word, I don't need a prefix don't need a prefix for one for my first element. But for my second element, I am going to need a prefix for that 4. And so that's going to be tetra and then chloride. All right, my next one, I have hydrogen as a nonmetal and iodine as a nonmetal. So again, covalent bonds here. So I'm going to use my prefixes. I don't need mono on my first word, so I can just have hydrogen. And then my iodine does need a mono at the beginning of it, and it needs to end in "ide." And I have no idea how you're really supposed to say this. Monoiodide? Yeah, I think monoiodide is right. All right, my next one, I have calcium is a metal. Oxygen is a nonmetal. So that is an ionic bond. Ionic bonds, I just name both of them and change the ending. So calcium oxide. All right, let's look at 5 to 8 over here. So hydrogen is a nonmetal. Oxygen is a nonmetal. That is a covalent bond. So I'm going to use my prefixes. I have 2 for hydrogen, so it's going to be dihydrogen. And 1 oxygen is going to get the prefix monoxygen, or monoxide, sorry. I have, for number 6, I have lithium, which is a metal, and bromine, which is a nonmetal. So that's a ionic bond. Ionic bonds, I just name what I have. Lithium, bromine, but I'm going to change my ending to ide, so lithium bromide. Number 7, I have nitrogen is a nonmetal, and bromine is, we just said, is a nonmetal. So I have 2 nonmetals, which is a covalent bond. So nitrogen doesn't have a subscript, so it doesn't get a prefix. Bromine has a 3 in front of it, or 3 behind it, sorry. So that's going to be tri. And then bromide is going to change, bromine is going to change to bromide. And then I have aluminum and sulfur. Aluminum is a metal. Sulfur is a nonmetal. That's a ionic bond. Ionic bonds, I just name what I have and change the ending. So I have aluminum. And sulfur is going to change to sulfide. All right. So for the practice the following, we're going to show our work, write our formulas, and write the name of the substance. So I have lithium and bromine. And in order to know how I'm going to bond these together, I need to figure out if they are metals or nonmetals. So lithium is a metal, bromine is a nonmetal. So a metal and a nonmetal bonding together, I'm going to bond them ionically, which means I need to look at their ion charges. Lithium, find lithium here in group 1, I go up to the top of the column and I have that labeled as a 1+ ion. Bromine over here in group 17, I have labeled as a 1- ion. So 1-, 1+, they cancel each other out. So I'm just going to write them out with no subscripts. So my formula is LiBr. And then when I name them, it's ionically bonded. So I just name what I have. So I have lithium. Bromine is going to change to bromide. Say that every time. All right. Let's see. Down here I have hydrogen combines with iodine. Hydrogen is a nonmetal. Iodide is a nonmetal. If I have 2 nonmetals bonding together, they're going to bond covalently. I also have this hint here where it's telling me to include a Lewis structure, and Lewis structures are when I bond covalently. So I like to draw out my my Lewis structures a little bit separate first, just so I can see it in my head easier. So hydrogen has 1 valence electron, and then iodine has 7 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so if I look at this, I have iodine has 7 valence electrons. It needs 1 more, and I can see that I have this little spot right here where I can add my hydrogen onto it. So I'm going to draw it out. H with 1 electron. And then I'm going to do 2 different colors, but you can use dots and crosses on yours. And then I'm going to put my iodine next to it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I look at it, let's make sure that everybody's happy. So my hydrogen has 2, and hydrogen can only have 2, so it's happy. My iodine, I know I wrote it in green, but I don't want to highlight it I wrote it in black, but I don't want to highlight it in black. I want to highlight it in green. My iodine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my iodine is happy. Everybody's happy. So I have 1 hydrogen and 1 iodine. When I'm putting them in order, I want to see whoever is closest to my top left corner goes first. So that's going to be hydrogen and then the iodine. When I name them, I need to use my prefixes. I don't need to use mono on the first word, so that's just going to be hydrogen. I do need to use mono on my second word, though, so I feel like I just said this one. Monoiodide. All right, let's move to the right side here. I have calcium bonding with nitrogen. All right, so calcium is a metal. Nitrogen is a nonmetal. A metal and a nonmetal are going to bond ionically. Calcium has a 2+ charge, and nitrogen has a 3- charge. So I can do this one of 2 ways. I can remember my least common multiples, that if I have a 2 and a 3, I want to get them both to a 6. So that's going to give me Ca3 and 2. Or if I have trouble with that way, I can do the drop and swap, where I bring down my Ca and my N. The 2 from the Ca comes over here to my N, and the 3 from my N comes over here to my Ca. Either way, I'm going to end up with Ca3 and 2. Now, since they're bonded ionically, all I need to do is write out my words and change my ending to "ide." So I have calcium nitride. All right, so for bismuth and hydrogen, I'm not going to highlight them in my periodic table because it's going to be a little bit confusing. There are some compounds that don't necessarily follow the rules that we've been going over, but I'm going to use this hint here that tells me to include a Lewis structure that our teachers want us to bond this one covalently. So bismuth is right here. It's in group 15. It has 5 valence electrons. So let me draw that one out. I have Bi, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have hydrogen, which has 1 valence electron. So bismuth has 5, it wants 3 more. And if I look at it, I got these 3 spots. One, 2, and 3, where I can add another hydrogen. So I'm going to put there we go. I'm going to put my bismuth in the middle. If I know that I have 1 thing in the middle and 3 things on the outside, I like to make them shaped like a T. So I'm just going to turn my Lewis structure so I have 2 on top, 1 on each side, and 1 on bottom. And then I'm going to take my hydrogen. I'm going to put 1 on the left, 1 on the bottom, and 1 on the right to fill those empty spots. If I double check that everybody's happy, my bismuth has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's happy. My hydrogen has 1, 2. This hydrogen has 1, 2, and this hydrogen has 1, 2. So they are all happy. So I have 1 bismuth and 3 hydrogens. And we're going to call that one bismuth. And then 3 is tri,